I feel like this is the moment for me. There's nothing going on. You have to work so hard to force a Vikings topic, which gives me an in to ask you something on camera because I know you can't not answer it. Something that I've wanted to ask you for a long time. '09 championship game.
Mm.
We lose to the Saints. You, I know you've talked about the pass interference call before, but
Easy, easy. Tread
listen to
lightly.
me.
Where are you going with this?
What I am curious about genuinely is in that moment, like, because you're a very eloquent guy, you're well trained, you know how to talk to the media, but like all the BS put aside, like, what did that feel like? Like the pinnacle of your career and one of the pinnacles for the franchise. It was such a bad call. Like, what did that feel like in the moment? What did it feel like after the game? What did it feel like in the days after? Was that just like destructive
It's yeah, it's funny because it got more destructive. There was that bell curve. Like there's so many things that happen in your life. There's like a bell curve of reaction. And the bell curve at the peak was probably, I would say 2 to 3 years after I was done.
really?
Um yeah. And then it
So you're
started to
telling me
like
the worst it was 2 to 3 years after the play?
yeah, because I think so let's do this like in order, just in time. So
Okay.
when it happened, I remember, and obviously the part of my memory is like what I watched back on the video. I put my arms up in the air like what the F, dude? Like, what are you talking about? You threw a flag on that. Um, I looked in the Jumbotron, I see the replay, and I'm like losing my mind internally, just like this is such bullshit. Like, I cannot believe this. Like, why are they they can't call pass interference on that. But like any football player is trained to do, like you got to move on, right? You got the play happens within 40 seconds or whatever of that all happening. So I have basically a minute to sort of take it all in, understand what happened, and don't disagree with it, and then move on to the next play. Get the play call because I was the green dot guy in that game, and so
Mm.
I have to mentally move on quick because now it's new situation, it's new down and distance, it's a new play call that's coming in. But my frustration, and I know this sounds over the top, and it sounds like I'm putting hot sauce in this whole story, and I'm really I'm really not.
Sauce it up, baby.
To sauce it up. But that emotion kinda turned into rage. Like, I remember lining up on the next play saying, like, this, I gotta go. Like, I gotta make a play. I have to, like, avenge my negative play, like, on this next play. And so, the very next play, it was me and Antoine actually had a tackle for loss. Like, I was
Yeah.
I didn't really have a blitz called. I was lined up on the tight end. I was in a 9 technique, and I just said, "Bleep it, man. Like, I'm just gonna go make a play. I'm just gonna watch the ball, get off the ball as quick as I can, and try to just, like, make the play." So, I think that he basically tried to base block me, which is just like a quick block to the out, and, well, shoot, even I think he may have tried to even reach me because there's a perimeter play. I think they ran a run play to my side on the next play, those bastards, right? I'm sure Sean Payton was like, all right, let's attack the guy that's like mentally fragile right
Uh-huh.
now, So let's take a strong side perimeter run play and see what happens. But see if we can log this guy and seal him off, and then he's doubly, screwed. So um yeah, I beat the block, and Twan and I think probably had what, a 4 or 5 yard tackle for loss. So I felt like in that moment, I'm like, okay, I kind of redeemed myself, and it's like a new set of downs and all this other stuff. But the damages had already been done. Like I don't think I felt the gravity of the damage that was done on that pass interference call really until the game was over, and probably not even until I got home or even the next day. It's like, oh man, like that was a whole new fresh set of downs that kind of put them in field goal territory and all that stuff. It was just like I said, the weight of that was crushing, but not as much as the loss itself. Like I didn't actually blame I never blame myself for the loss. I never blame myself for like being in that situation. Like there's so many things that happened beforehand, so many turnovers that we had, and all this other stuff. Like the offense did not help us out defensively at all in that game. And knowing it's a team game, like I'm not shouldering all this. Um, but when I talk about that bell curve, dude, it would rile me up inside to the point where like I want to fight somebody
Really?
when it's 2 or 3 years down the road. I have a 10-year career. I'm more than just one play. And dude, all the Vikings fans that I met out in public, hey, dude, fucking sucks about the pass interference, man. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like there came a point where like I could shrug it off, but I couldn't shrug it off anymore. I'm just like, I can't believe after 5 years of playing for the Vikings, that's all anybody wants to remember me by. Like that pissed me off to no end. Like
I'm
pissed me
glad I
off.
brought it up.
I know. I know. That's why I'm like, I don't want to relive it, but now that I'm reliving it, it really did make me mad, and it like angered me that, and I get it. Like there was a time where I blamed the fans for like just that's all you want to remember me by. Like
Mhm.
all the good plays and all the other plays that I've had in 5 years with this organization. That's what you want to talk about all the time. That's what you want to bring up to me as if I'm not cut already and like deeply wounded by that. That's what you want to bring up to me in public when I'm having just a good day. I've got the soundtrack to my life, and I'm in some like little fun rom-com walking down the street, and I get some, drunk idiot or whatever is like, "Hey man, sorry about '09 pass interference." I'm like, dude, I was having a good day until
Yeah.
you just brought that up, you
Well, and
know?
of all the markets for that to happen in, a market where we as fans have been snake bitten in such unique ways so many times, like, I think that is like, if we'd have won a Super Bowl, the Minnesota Miracle year, I don't think people would still be asking you about it. It's these moments, they stack on top of one another, and you can't let any of them. The moment this team finally wins a franchise, I think it's just gonna relinquish a lot of these, and they'll just be lore and not painful lore. So I understand why fans, that's the one that sticks out. I I can understand why it sucks a lot too, but I think it's unique with this fan base.
It took me, believe me, if there was, I'm sure there's some sort of psychoanalyst or psychologist that's watching this right now, and I'd like to think that I went through a natural course of of pain there because I I didn't understand it, and then I started to come to terms with it, and then I accepted it and just sort of like moved on. It's like I get it, I get it. Like now that I'm on this side on the media side, like I understand, and it's not like I didn't understand at the time. It's just like when it's you and you have to
Yeah.
deal with it. Um, and then, as life goes, perspective and all this other stuff, I'm like, listen, I got more important things to worry about. I got kids, I got a family. I want to make a living doing other things, like all this other stuff. So like you do come to terms with it. But I would say that that bell curve was probably 2 or 3 years after the play. It was like that was the hottest I felt.
The yeah, let me ask you this. So, because I always say on, you know, when I'm on shows, locker rooms are interesting places.
Hmm.
People like to make fun of all the cliches, but if you ever get a chance to be in a locker room, the cliches exist. Like, you wanna think that they're saying cliches, and then in the locker room, it's something different, but this whole, like, "Nobody believed in us," where the like, they actually believe that like, and 1 win can turn into 2 wins, a bad loss can turn like, there's the locker rooms are unique and momentum's unique, and, buying in is unique. And so I'm curious because I think, you have that win, you roll into the playoffs because it was the last part of that season, '09, you kinda stumbled a little bit, EJ gets hurt,
Hmm.
you stumble a little bit, but then you get into the playoffs and you slaughter the Cowboys. And by the way, I think you had an outrageous game that game, if I'm not mistaken. So that probably makes
Dude,
you got a game ball up there?
which one is it? It's that one right there. It's this guy right over here.
Yeah.
That's the game ball from that game.
So that to be get the game ball, to go from game ball to interception, or excuse me, bullshit pass interference call is a wild, wild roller coaster. But, you know, you destroy Dallas. after Dallas, I don't know, most people probably remember, it's the pants on the ground guy comes in. You're just in this all-time camaraderie locker room, boiling forward, and I feel like anyone who watched that '09 championship game, it was just like, if any of the bullets that went into our feet in that game would have not just one of them, a single one would have not gone into our feet, it's almost probably a blowout. But
Mhm.
it's a long way. I'm just processing the game over again, but it's a long way to ask you, with the belief that that team had and the unique camaraderie it had, was there a moment, because for me as a fan, jaded, worried we're never gonna win anything, when Favre hit Sidney across the middle and he pushed it up the field, I did it. My brain went, "Oh my god, we're going to the Super Bowl." I said it out loud in my head. The moment I said it, a voice went, "Don't say it!" Like, lost their mind. Did you have that on the line? Could you feel that on the sideline? Was there like, "Oh my god, it's Favre, we did it," and then what did that interception feel like?
It's funny how the butterfly effect is real. And I wonder sometimes if me letting myself say the same thing that you said in that exact same moment led into me having poor body position on that pass interference to even put myself in a position to be called for pass interference. Like that's the type of crap that I think about because I did.
That's not
It
healthy.
was me, it was me, Greenway, and Jared Allen
Mhm.
on the sideline together. We had watched our team basically cross the 50-yard line into Ryan Longwell territory. And all three of us looked at each other and said, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like, this is it. Like, in a collective way. And I don't know if they were doing it, but like, I know for me, unfortunately, that was the moment where like I kind of took a deep breath and sort of like took this sigh of like, dude, our job is done. Like our defensive job is done. Like this
Oh,
game's in the books. It's a wraps. Like it's over, right?
ah.
We had, 1,000% confidence that Ryan was going to make the kick. So we're like, is it? So in a proverbial way, like I like unbuttoned my shoulder pads and unstrapped my helmet and like I was ready to like I was done like preseason game over, like I'm taking the pads off sort of thing. Like that's mentally how I felt. And then we go into overtime. Then we have the 12 men in the huddle, the
The
interception, all,
interception.
all that stuff, right? Um, which is kind of crazy how that story unfolded as well. But like, yeah, dude, I did the same thing. And I kind of hate myself for doing it because I was ultra focused through the whole game. Like so as the kids was I was dialed. I was dialed for that game as like a lot of my teammates were dialed for that game. And I was dialed for that game all the way to that moment. And then I
Well,
sort of took a deep breath.
you just had 4 Hall of Famers, a bunch of Pro Bowlers, all kind of at the pinnacle or second half of their career. Like, I'm sure that whole group, a lot of people felt like my whole life and career is building to this moment. It's I will tell you, on TV, watching it on TV, there was a moment where they cut to Ryan Longwell, and maybe I'm just making this up because this is how I remember it, but as they hit Sydney for that pass, they cut to Longwell, and he just had kind of almost a calm smile on his face, and I was like, "Oh, this dude's gonna drill it." And that made it so much worse. Was there so here's a question that you will not answer. So, anyone who watches that game and watches that interception and watches it back, sees Bernard Berrien just standing there. Like, Favre has such equity with his teammates and historically. Was there any like vibe of like, hey man, he was like just run it through? Like, I know he couldn't run it because his foot was exploded, but like, was there any like after the fact, was there anybody who was like, "Hey, why? Why would you throw you're the Hall of Famer. I know this is what you've always done, but why?"
I think, yeah, I guess that is unanswerable for me because I don't know why. I wish I
No,
knew
I'm curious,
why.
was there any vibe like that, or was it just
No,
all group
no,
sad?
I don't think so. I mean, I think look, we could have gone back to every game before that with
Mhm.
Favre. And
Yeah.
there would have been some times where we're like, why? Why did you throw it to that guy? Like,
Yeah.
why did you make that decision? And, 80% of the times he was right. It's like, oh, it's just that's what became Favre being Favre, and that's how he built his whole career. I think that he just acts on he's just a gamer. He acts on impulse, he acts on feel, and he probably can't even explain in that moment why he saw Bernard and checked off and looked to Percy. I don't know. I don't know why. I think maybe he just had a better feeling of
Mhm.
maybe he felt like he could make that throw or be maybe he thought that could be
It's
like a
middle of
throw
the
and a
field,
yeah, a
an
throw and a
easier kick.
catch, a throw and a catch and a run versus just a
Mhm.
throw, a catch, and he's
Yep.
down. Like,
Puts you all the way down. Maybe you sneak all the way down the field. Yeah.
yeah, and you look at the 2 and you're like, well, Percy was pretty special already at that point that, like, maybe he was looking for yards after the catch. Like, okay, I'm gonna throw it to this guy. He might just ping pong off a couple of guys and pick up, 15 yards on a run or something. So, like, maybe that's what he was thinking, but it's hard when you have a guy that's built his whole career off of this just kinda winging it.
Got yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting inflection point because the historically, there's not to have at that point, Aaron Rodgers wasn't a thing yet, and
No,
nobody knew if he was gonna be a thing, and so you're sitting in this moment where you're so close to winning a Super Bowl with your despised rivals' prize guy that they only won 1 Super Bowl with, and even though Rodgers went on and won a Super Bowl, just to have that one with him, like, that would be a pretty unique thing that we could possibly have. So I like there's not a lot of examples in history of a team getting to that point in such a weird way with such a interesting player and then it going so horrifically wrong.
I know. I know. And that's I think the hardest thing to really swallow with all that is how talented we were top to bottom.
Mhm.
And we even knew, or at least I felt like as a team we knew we get past this NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And not to say that the Colts were going to be a breeze and not to say that was going to be an easy victory. I think that we all just understood that the power kind of laid in the NFC at that point in time,
Mhm.
and we knew how strong we were. We knew the Saints were going to be a tough out, and we're kind of looking across the conference, saying like, I mean, they're good. They're going to obviously earn their right to be there, but we knew top to bottom, like we're a more talented team than them. We play more aggressively. We can run the ball
Mhm.
better. We have kind of a wild card. We're riding this magic carpet, and that's Brett Favre. Like it just seemed like we were unstoppable at that point. And I think that is one of the hardest things. And then to have it backed up by friends on the Saints that go off and win that Super Bowl, and they're
Yeah.
telling me and all of us after the fact, they're like, "Oh yeah, those guys, they weren't all that difficult. You guys would have slaughtered them." I'm like, "Well, that's not what I want to hear." Like I know what you
That
mean.
doesn't
Like I
feel
know it
it's like
doesn't
in
feel good.
I have a friend who was at, the great Dan Soder. He was
Yeah,
at the in 1999, but technically the '98 playoffs. He was at, the Broncos AFC Championship game, and when they flashed the score, the final score on the scoreboard that the Falcons had won, he said, "No, you could feel it, and you could feel the whole stadium go, 'Oh, oh boy.'" Like,
yeah.
because everybody knew they were gonna get plowed by that team. Um, so, yeah, I can imagine how difficult that is. We like, this is longer than our normal episode. Like, I could keep going. I we could do a whole 'nother episode just about the fumbles and
Yeah.
just about I have several other things, but let's call it here. We'll come back to it.